Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video welcome back to the channel, and to another episode of Impromptu Thoughts where I rant and rave about the most random topics on the internet and in real life. And the reason why it's prompted me, or so, sorry, the reason I was prompted to make this video in the first place was because of a Twitter post I saw while I was scrolling through my feed. Now, sorry, I'm viewing this through my phone because Twitter has blocked my login on my tablet, so I can't view my post from there. This is apparently a video, or sorry, this is apparently a post from. I'm not gonna disclose who the original post was from, but basically it says, "What opinion about men do you have that makes people feel like this?" And it's kind of like an AI generated picture of Merida in place of Flynn Rider in that one scene in Tangled with like the multiple swords aimed at him. And then the repost quote says, uh, it's actually from the same person. So here is a completely devastatingly true story. It expresses a double standard deeply ingrained in our society that people try to pretend it doesn't exist. Now, here's a quick note. I'm viewing this while my phone is in landscape mode, and it the Twitter window is in portrait mode. So I'm sorry if I have to tilt my head like this as I'm reading. So uh, I want this to be lighthearted, but at the same time, I kind of want to keep it serious. So for the sake of respect, I'm gonna try to keep a serious vibe here. So let me tell you guys the tragic story of Earl Silverman. And I quote, "Society loves to boldly claim that it stands against domestic violence, but the unspoken asterisk at the end of that sentence is only when the victim is a woman. When a man is bleeding, trapped, and terrified in his own home, the world doesn't offer him a hotline or even a shelter." In the late 1980s, a man named Earl Silverman fled his home in Canada. He was the victim of severe escalating domestic abuse at the hands of his wife. Sorry. Terrified and desperate for a safe haven, he started calling domestic violence hotlines and sorry. My acid is not cooperating with me today. Sorry. Terrified and desperate for a safe haven, he started calling domestic violence hotlines and searching for emergency shelters. What he found completely broke his faith in humanity. There were dozens of publicly funded shelters for women and children, but for a battered man, there was absolutely nothing. When he reached out to state funded services for help, he wasn't just turned away, he was actively mocked. He was told that as a man, he was either the actual instigator or he should just man up and deal with it. The system looked at a bleeding, abused man and essentially told him his pain didn't exist. Now, I just want to pause here because it's kind of ironic that, sorry, it's kind of ironic that back in the day, it was the women who were being undermined because simply because they're the opposite gender in a totally male dominated in a totally male dominated society. Now it's the women who are being, you know, brought up to a podium because they're being abused by men. Meanwhile, the man is just being told to grow up and completely undermining their pain and their suffering. And no, it's not that I'm also suffering. I am doing completely fine. My family is stable. I love them to death. It's all right. Don't worry, guys. I am unironically saying that I am okay. All right. I'm not being satirical right now. I am genuinely okay. But I just can't help but to think that we went from criticizing the women for having skill issues to then criticizing the men for being too childish. Like it's a kind of the tables have turned situation, where like it's yeah, that's all I really have to say. It's like uh the man is abusing their power as the head honcho of society, and now women are abusing their power against uh towards the man because they are always being babied and sympathized and stuff when they are the actual instigators of the abuse. All right, let's continue. Realizing that society would literally let men die in the streets rather than admit women could be abusers, Earl decided to do the unthinkable. He built a sanctuary himself. He poured his own life savings into opening the Family of Men Support Society, the very first domestic violence shelter exclusively for men. Operating out of his own home, Earl took in broken fathers and battered husbands who had been forced to sleep in their cars because the government refused to acknowledge their trauma. For over a decade, Earl was the only safety net in the entire country for these men. But running a shelter is expensive. Earl applied for local, provincial, and federal government funding, the exact same grants that female shelters receive millions of dollars from every single year. And he was denied every single time. The government agencies told him that male victims weren't a recognized priority. Wait. So they're saying that when women come to like government officials and these grants and stuff saying that, oh, I've been abused, oh, please help me, I need to get away from this man. They're like, oh, sweetie, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. uh Here, let me give you $1 million to like start your life afresh, retire early, and maybe even give your children something to yeah, something like that. But when a man is coming up to them like, "Oh, man, please help me. I'm being abused by my wife. Like she's gone crazy, man. Like I don't know what to do." They're like, "Ah, I'll be fine. Grow up. Just it'll be fine." But like, and then they'll be like, "Seriously? You let them have $1 million? But what about me?" It's like, nah, you're just too childish. Grow the fuck up, man. So you see the irony, guys? It's just crazy to think that we as a society back in the day have failed women for like not giving them enough opportunities. But now it's completely flipped over, and now the men are being now the government or sorry, society has failed the man now for like completely undermining their feelings. Like, okay, I guess I should also blame the past society for this because as I've said earlier, the man is usually looked at as the head of the family, like the cornerstone of society. And because of that, it almost feels like their feelings don't matter. Like if they're complaining, they're just being swept under the rug as childish behavior. They should grow up. They should get a life or something. When they already have a life, it's just that it's being completely destroyed by either by their significant other or society as a whole. And no, I am not going through an emo phase. It's just that if you look about it that way, I guess in a way the emo people were right in a sense. Like society has failed a lot of people, more specifically nowadays the men, where uh, we are being cliched so much that uh, we completely forget that even men have feelings. Like the women were literally made out of a man's rib, according to the Bible. And I'm not gonna bring religious stuff into this argument, but like, yeah, in a sense, you can't spell woman without man. And meanwhile, uh, yeah, meanwhile, this is happening to us. And I just had a thought, you know, uh, when women are being supported for being able to escape abuse, it's the group that group is are consists of either women who were also abused or women who were not abused. But then there's also the opposite gender supporting them for being able to get away from the abuse. But what about the man? Like, if they're uh, if they're saying that they're being abused and they get completely shot down by society, I mean, it I guess it can be the opposite gender who also had some traumatic experience with abuse. That's completely understandable. Like, uh, it's two completely different stories. But then, what about the similar gender? What about the man? What about the men who are actively shooting down another man for having feelings, for recognizing the abuse and putting their foot down against it? What about them? It's kind of ironic, and I feel like their only support at this point are other men who are also abused, because the opposite gender is not going to be rooting for them at this point. If you think about it that way. All right, continue. The government agencies told him that male victims weren't a recognized priority. Society was perfectly willing to fund the safety of women, but flat out refused to spend a single dime to protect a man from a violent woman. The financial burden eventually crushed him. Earl drained his bank accounts, maxed out his credit, and completely bankrupted himself, trying to keep the doors open for men who had nowhere else to go. In early 2013, completely out of money and abandoned by a system that refused to see male humanity, he was forced to close the shelter and sell his home. Shortly after closing the only safe haven for men, the sheer exhaustion and profound isolation broke him. Earl Silverman tragically took his own life. Society didn't just fail Earl Silverman, it actively looked the other way. We live in a culture that will spend billions of dollars to convince women they are protected, but will watch a man build a life raft with his bare hands, deny him the wood to keep it floating, and then let him drown. It's such a it's such a awakening thing for me. Like, I get that, like, I understand that, like, women are being abused sometimes, but then I see this and then I completely uh that my opinion has turned a complete 180. I really have nothing else to say about this, but let's check the comments here. Okay, here's some articles. It says the current social climate we have came on leaps and bounds striving for equality between genders. However, the fact that a woman cannot be prosecuted for R wording, sorry, under the current UK legal system is not only a disservice to the strive for gender equality, it is also a kick in the face to all male victims of sexual abuse who are made to feel that their abuse is less important than a woman's, as a man cannot pursue genuine legal justice for the ordeal they were made to undergo. This must change. It really does. And I have no idea how to do this, but at the same time, at least uh, I'm doing this. I'm doing my best to spread awareness to this fact, and even though my my secondary channel only has like not as many subscribers as my main channel, that's also the reason why I am doing this as a collaboration with my main channel to spread more awareness to this situation right now. So this may be a bit shorter than my other impromptu thoughts videos, mostly because I like to pan out the watch time. I feel like I've already said what I needed to say, and I feel like this post has already said what it needed to say as well to spread awareness to this situation. And so, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, or at least I hope you guys have been informed greatly of this situation right now. Uh, I can't really provide anything that would uh, assist in reporting abuse and all that stuff, but here's one advice I can give based on a lot of things I've seen on Reddit. If you if you're noticing signs of abuse, report it immediately. Report it immediately, regardless of what people will say to you. If you're a man, uh, don't take it for granted. Don't sweep your feelings under the rug. Please, please seek help. Seek uh, anyone who is willing to help you out in this situation. Like, I get that women are also abused sometimes by men, but at the same time, we have feelings too. Um, Let me read this comment from another person in this tweet. This is partly a joke, but actually quite serious. Like, instead of calling them shelters for men who are victims, we call them hunting lodges or some such. Sorry. The serious part, men's only spaces need to be available again, and they could be used for what they ostensibly are for, but can also be used to get away from abusive situations while still saving face. Like, I get that uh, there are hangouts for just men, that's completely fine, but I started to think about it as if it can also be something where uh, men can have a heart to heart with each other, like some real talk, you know. If they're experiencing some grievances with their significant other, they can talk to it with each other, like share some advice on how to genuinely fix relationships. And it's just that. Uh, yeah. Uh, yeah. So with that being said, that's all I really have to say for this one. Once again, if you're experiencing abuse, report it immediately. Ask anyone who is willing to help you out. Seek help, and if anyone watching this video is experiencing something similar like this, I just want to know. I just want to let you guys know that you are in my prayers all the time. Uh, I really hope that you find the help that you need, and I really hope that you can start your life afresh after getting away from said abuse. So, with that being said, thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed, if you if you agree with me, be sure to like this video. If you disagree with me, feel free to blast me in the comment section. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Uh, I don't want to do any plugins since this is a more serious thing that needs to be addressed. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my main channel where I post all things Paw Patrol and aviation. Sorry for that. So yeah, that's all I really have to say, and bye for now.